Shiksha Guruka Murti Pratidalulata Ekvidikshu Suranti Shailushika Rami Vaiko Narkayanti Swasha. By beautiful Thakur says Radhika Ranjana Rasa Parayana Radha Kunja Kunja Vihari. And then in the fifth verse, last line, he calls Krishna as Radha Bhajana Sukhashali, as Krishna who does the bhajan, brother. Radha Bhajane Jadi Madina Vivela Krishna Bhajana Akarane Radha Bhajane Jadi Madina Vivela Krishna Bhajana Radhika Viraha, Madhav nahi jane. Just like I don't know the sun without the sunlight. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I don't.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji, stand up now. We'll start the reading class with Mangala Charan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Am I audible, Prabhuji's Mataji?
Yes, Mata.
Yeah, okay. We'll start with 1.10.30. Translation. All these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. Purport. The devotees of the Lord are purified souls. As soon as the devotees surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord sincerely, the Lord accepts them, and thus the devotees at once become free from all material contaminations. Such devotees are above the three modes of material nature. There is no bodily disqualification of a devotee, just as there is no qualitative difference between the Ganges water and the filthy drain water when they are amalgamated. Women, merchants, and laborers are not very intelligent, and thus it is very difficult for them to understand the signs of God or to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. They are more materialistic, and less than them are the Kiratas, Hunas, Andhras, Pulindas, Pulakashas, Abhiras, Kankas, Yavanas, Khasas, etc. But all of them can be delivered if they are properly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord by engagement in the service of the Lord. The designative disqualifications are removed, and as pure souls, they become eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. The fallen girls under the clutches of Bhaumasura sincerely prayed to Lord Sri Krishna for their deliverance, and their sincerity of purpose made them at once pure by virtue of devotion. The Lord therefore accepted them as his wives, and thus their lives became glorified. Such auspicious glorification was still more glorified when the Lord played with them as the most devoted husband. The Lord used to live with his 16,108 wives constantly. He expanded himself into 16,108 plenary portions, and each and every one of them was the Lord himself without deviation from the original personality. The Shruti mantra affirms that the Lord can expand himself into many. As husband of so many wives, he pleased them all with presentations, even at a costly endeavor. He brought the Parijata plant from heaven and implanted it at the place of Satyabhama, one of the principal queens. If therefore anyone desires the Lord to become one's husband, the Lord fulfills such desires in full. Okay, Samyukta Mataji, can you read?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation. While the ladies of the capital Hastinapura were greeting him and talking in this way, the Lord smiling accepted their good greetings and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city.
You can read this too.
Okay, Mataji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Yudhishthira, although no one's enemy, engaged 4 divisions of defense, horse, elephant, chariot, and army to accompany Lord Krishna, the enemy of the Asuras, demons. The Maharaja did this because of the enemy and also out of affection for the Lord. Purport. Natural defensive measures are horses and elephants combined with chariots and men. Horses and elephants are trained to move to any part of the hills or forest and plains. The charioteers could fight with many horses and elephants by the strength of powerful arrows, even up to the standard of the Brahmastra, similar to modern atomic weapons. Maharaja Yudhishthira knew well that Krishna is everyone's friend and well-wisher, and yet there were asuras who were by nature envious of the Lord. So out of fear of attack from others and out of affection also, he engaged all varieties of defensive forces as bodyguards of Lord Krishna. If required, Lord Krishna himself was sufficient to defend himself from the attack of others who counted the Lord as their enemy. But still, he accepted all the arrangements made by Maharaja Yudhishthira because he could not disobey the king, who was his elder cousin. The Lord plays the part of a subordinate in his transcendental sporting, and thus sometimes he puts himself in the care of Yashoda Mata for his protection in his so-called helplessness of childhood. That is the transcendental Leela or pastime of the Lord. The basic principle for all transcendental exchanges between the Lord and his devotees is exhibited to enjoy a transcendental bliss for which there is no comparison, even up to the level of Brahmananda. Hare Krishna.
Lavanya Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. Out of profound affection for the Lord Krishna, the Pandavas, who are the Kuru dynasty, accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, pursued them to return home, and he proceeded towards Dwaraka with his dear companions.
Yes, Mataji, you can read this also.
Yeah, translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O Shaunaka, the Lord, when proceeded towards Kurujangala, Panchala, Surasena, the land on the bank of the Yamuna river, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Saraswata, the province of the desert of the land of scanty water. After crossing these provinces, he gradually reached the Sauvira and Abira provinces. Then west of these reached Dwaraka at last. Purport. The provinces passed over by the Lord in those days were differently named, but the direction given is sufficient to indicate that he traveled through Delhi, Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Saurashtra, and Gujarat, and at last reached his own province at Dwaraka. We do not get any profit simply by researching the analogous provinces of those days up to now. But it appears that the desert of Rajasthan and the provinces of scanty water like Madhya Pradesh were present even 5,000 years ago. The theory of soil expert that the desert developed in recent years is not supported by the statements of Bhagavatam. We may leave the matter for expert geologists to research because the changing universe has different phases of geological development. We are satisfied that the Lord has now reached his own province, Dwarakadama, from the Kuru provinces. Kurukshetra continues to exist since the Vedic age, and it is sheer foolishness when interpreters ignore or deny the existence of Kurukshetra. Thank you, Mother.
Sandhya Mataji, are you in a position to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Okay, please read. Are you able to see?
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Please go.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. Purport: it is said here that the Lord observed the religious principles regularly while he was on the journey. There are certain philosophical speculations that even the Lord is under the obligations of fruitive action, but actually this is not the case. He does not depend on the action of any good or bad work. Since the Lord is absolute, everything done by him is good for everyone. But when he descends to the earth, he acts for the protection of the devotees and for the annihilation of the impious non-devotees. Although he has no obligatory duty, still he does everything so that others may follow. That is the way of factual teaching. One must act properly himself and teach the same to others. Otherwise, no one will accept one's blind teaching. He is himself the awarder of fruitive results. He is self-sufficient, and yet he acts according to the rulings of the revealed scripture in order to teach us the process. If he does not do so, the common man may go wrong. But in the advanced stage, when one can understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, one does not try to imitate him. This is not possible. The Lord in human society does what is the duty of everyone, but sometimes he does something extraordinary and not to be imitated by the living being. His acts of evening prayer, as stated, hearing must be followed by the living being, but it is not possible to follow his mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. One cannot imitate the sun, which can exhaust water even from a filthy place. The most powerful can do something which is all good, but our imitation of such acts will put us into endless difficulty. Therefore, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and the path of progress will be assured. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Raju Prabhuji, are you in a position to read?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. You can read.
Translation.
We'll read 6 each. So you can read the first 6.
Okay. Text 1. Shaunaka Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaja Yudhishthira, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. Suta Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the world, became pleased after re-establishing the Maharaja Yudhishthira in his own kingdom and after restoring the Kuru dynasty. which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger. Maharaja Yudhishthira, after being enlightened by the what was spoken by Bhishma Deva and Lord Sri Krishna, the infallible engaged himself in the matters of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seized the seas and was followed by his younger brothers. During the reign Maharaja Yudhishthira, the clouds showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessity of man in provision. And due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king of profession. Because of the kings having no enemy, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by agnois diseases.
Mental agonies.
What, Mataji?
Mental agonies, Prabhuji.
Mental agonies, diseases, and excessive heat or cold. Hare Krishna.
Chandramauli Prabhu, are you in a position to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, please read the next 6.
Hare Krishna, text 7. Sri Hari, Lord Sri Krishna resided at Hastinapura for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister Subhadra. Text 8. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respects to Maharaja Yudhishthira by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got into his chariot. Text 9 to 10. At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yutsu, Krupacharya, Nakula, Sahadeva, Bhimsena, Daumya, and Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Krishna. Text 11 to 12. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with the pure devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him. Hare Krishna.
Samyukta Mataji, can you read 13 to 18?
Yes, Mataji. Text 13. All their hearts were melting for him on the pot of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity. The female relatives, whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna, came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure. While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapura, different types of drums like the mridanga, dhola, nagara, dhunduri, and dundubi, and flutes of different types, the veena, gomukha, and beri, all sounded together to show him honor. Out of a loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on the top of the palace and, smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. At that time, Arjuna, the great warrior and conqueror of sleep, who is the intimate friend of the most beloved Supreme Lord, took up an umbrella which had a handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls. Hare Krishna.
Lavanya Mataji, can you read?
Yeah, which one, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
From 18, Mataji, 6.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
So until 23.
Can you scroll? Yeah, 18th, no, Mataji?
Yeah.
Yeah. Text 18. Uddhava and Satyaki began to fan the Lord with decorated fans, and the Lord, as the master of Madhu, seated on scattered flowers, commanded them along the road. It was being heard here and there that the benedictions being paid to Krishna were neither befitting nor unbefitting, because they were all for the Absolute, who was now playing the part of a human being. Absurd in the thought of transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in selective poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapura began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. They said, "Here he is the original personality of Godhead as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge, as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended." The Supreme Personality of Godhead, again desiring to give names and forms to his part and parcels, the living entities place them under the guidance of the material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate. Here is the same personality of Godhead, whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses. And that is the only way to purify existence. Oh dear, mm. oh dear friends, Oh dear friends, here is that very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of the Vedic literature by his great devotees. He is the only who creates, maintains, he is the only one who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world and yet remains unaffected. ఎక్కడి వరకు మాతాజీ?
ఇక్కడ వరకే మాతాజీ.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sandhya Mataji, you can do 25 to 30 Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Text 25. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power. The truth positive shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how precious is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the thousand of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Undoubtedly, it is wonderful that Dwaraka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwaraka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. Oh, friends, just think of his wives, those hands he has accepted. How they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly relish now the nectar from his lips by kissing. The damsels of Vrajabhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors. The children of these ladies are Pradyumna, Samba, Amba, etc. Ladies like Rukmini, Satyabhama, and Jambavati were forcibly taken away by him from their Swayamvara ceremonies after he defeated many powerful kings, headed by Shishubala. And other ladies were also forcibly taken away by him after he killed Bhaumasura and thousands of his assistants. All of these ladies are glorious. All these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. While the ladies of the capital Hastinapura were greeting him and taking in this way, the Lord smiling accepted their good greetings and casting the grace of his glance over them. He departed from the city.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Lalit Mohan Prabhu, are you in a position to read? Do you want to read the rest of them? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Lalit Mohan Prabhu.
Mataji, I'm not in a position to read Mataji. Please go
Okay,
ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhuji. 32. Maharaja Yudhishthira, although no one's enemy, engaged 4 divisions of defense, horse, elephant, chariot, and army to accompany Lord Krishna, the enemy of the Asuras, demons. The Maharaja did this because of the enemy and also out of the affection for the Lord. Text 33. Out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas, who were of the Kuru dynasty, accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home, and he proceeded towards Dwarka with his dear companions. O Shaunaka, the Lord then proceeded towards Kurujangala, Panchala, Surasena, the land on the bank of the river Yamuna, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Saraswata, the province of the desert, and the land of scanty water. After crossing these provinces, he gradually reached the Shauvira and Abhira provinces. Then west of these reached Dwarka at last. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. Hare Krishna. Okay, we are done with reading. Should we go to the recitation?
Hare Krishna, Lalit Mohan Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
So, just to ask, like, I'm curious, what are the evening rites like performed by Krishna Prabhuji?
Like they have praharas, Mataji. Praharas means every 3 hours.
Every
3 hours, 3 hours.
Okay.
There are 8 praharas in the day,
Okay.
which they will do at a different distance. Like evening, before
Like
going
Ashtakaliya Leela Prabhuji?
Ashtakaliya Leela. I don't know. I know praharas. Their schedule is divided by praharas actually.
Okay.
Means 3 hours. And in every 3 hours, again it is 4 into 3, 12. Every 15 minutes, things changes. So that is how their life is scheduled, Mataji. And evening, generally, like 6 to 7 is like they hear from the ministers. And 7 to 8, they have their, this thing, dinner and all, and family time. And before that, again, stuti. There is some stuti actually they do, and then they go to the bed. By 8:30 to 9, they will go to the bed, Mataji. 8:30, they will disperse everything. And it's completely personal time for Krishna. So that is again 2 into 15. That 15 minutes, Vyavadhi is also called something, I don't know. But praharas I could remember.
Okay.
So every 3 hours things changes drastically, and in that every 15 minutes it's again divided.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I heard like Krishna also performs like Leelas, like Ashtakaliya Leela. Every 3 hours he performs one.
Mataji, do you want to do it?
You carry on, Mataji.
Who wants to do it? Samyukta Mataji, do you want to do all the 3 that we learned?
Actually,
Yes,
Mataji, I'm in
Mataji.
school actually. I just dropped my daughter first day. So I was
All the best.
I couldn't school. Yes.
Sorry to disturb you, Prabhuji.
No, for the first day, no. So bit I
Carry
also
on.
was confused what to do. So, but I'll listen. I'll be in the listening mode. If at all some changes, I will do it. Okay, Mataji.
Okay, great.
Please
Okay,
bear one day.
sure, Prabhuji. Yeah. Samyukta Mataji, do you want to do the first 3?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, only Slokas, Mataji, like translation also.
Only shlokas for now. Yeah.
Okay, Mataji. Shri Rukminu Vacha. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundar shunvatam te nirvishya karna vivarair haratonga tapam rupam drisham drishimatam akhilarthalabham tvayachyuta vishati chittamapatra me. Katva mukunda mahati kulashila rupa vidya vayodra vinadham abhiratma tulyam dhira patim kulavati navrinita kanya కాలే నరసింహ నరలోకమనోభిరామం. ఏవం భ్రువన విరహాతుర సారీ మాతాజీ. ఏవం బ్రువాన విరహతూర వృషాం వ్రజస్త్రీయ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా విసృజ్యలజ్జాం రురుధూస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి. ఐ థింక్ ఇది పోయింది మాతాజీ.
మాతాజీ ఇది కూడా చెప్పారా? నన్ను మిస్ అయ్యా.
ఎస్టర్డే మాతాజీ.
ఓకే ఓకే, సారీ ఐ మిస్డ్. సేమ్ ట్యూనా మాతాజీ ఇది కూడా?
లేదు మాతాజీ, డిఫరెంట్ ఉంది మాతాజీ.
ఓకే, ప్రభుజీ పంపించారా గ్రూప్ లో?
నిన్న గ్రూప్
పంపించాను
లో
మేడం.
షేర్ చేస్తాను మాతాజీ.
ఓ నేను వింటున్నా.
ఇది కష్టంగా ఉంది.
యా.
ఇది వినబడుతుందా?
ఎస్ మాతాజీ.
గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
మళ్ళీ పెడతాను.
ఏవం భ్రువాన విరహాతురాకుశం గజ స్త్రియ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానస విసృజ్య లజ్జాం రురుధూస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
Let me try this. Chandramali Prabhu, do you want to try?
లేదు మాతాజీ, క్యారీ అని మాతాజీ.
Why, Prabhuji?
మీరు చేసాక నేను చేస్తాను.
Okay. Yeah. I'll start from the beginning then. Yeah. Shri Rukmini Uvacha. Shritva gunan bhuvana sundara shrinvatam te nirvishya karna vivarair haratongatapam rupam drisham drishimatam akhilarthalabham tvayachyuta vishati chetamapatra me कात्वा मुकुंद महते कुलशील रूपा विद्या वयोद्रविनधामभिरात्मतुल्यं धीरापतिं कुलवतीं वृणीतकन्या काले नृसिंहनरलोकमनोभिरामम्. एवं ब्रुवाणा विरहातुरा वृषं व्रजस्त्रिय कृष्ण विषक्तमानसा विसृज्य लज्जां रुरुदोस्म सुस्वरं गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति. థర్డ్ లైన్ కరెక్టా రాంగా తెలీదు, ఏదో ట్రై చేశాను. నెక్స్ట్ లావణ్య మాతాజీ ఇప్పుడు ట్రై చేస్తారా?
ఓన్లీ 2 చేస్తాను మాతాజీ.
ఓకే మాతాజీ.
శ్రీమద్ భాగవతం 10.52.37. శ్రీ రుక్మిణి ఉవాచ శ్రుత్వాన్ గుణాన్ భువన సుందర శృణ్వతాంతే నిర్విశ్య కర్ణ వివరైర్హరతోంగతాపం రూపం దృశాం దృశిమతామఖిలాతలాభం త్వయ్యచ్యుతా విశతి చేతమపత్రపం మే. కాత్వా ముకుంద మహతే కులశీల రూపా విద్యా వయోద్రవినదామభిరాత్మతుల్యం ధీరాపతిం కులవతీన వృణీత కన్యా కాలేన సింహ నరలోకమనోభిరామం. ఇది రాదు మాతాజీ, నేను నేర్చుకోలే.
ఇది ఒకసారి వినండి, ట్రై చేయండి.
భ్రువానా విరహాతురాభృశం గజ స్త్రియ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానస
विसृज्य लज्जां रुरुधुस्म सुस्वरं गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति.
ట్రై చేస్తారా? నేను లైన్ చెప్పనా? మీరు
చెప్పండి.
ఏవం బ్రువాణా విరహాతురాదృశం
ఏవం బ్రువాణా విరహాతురాభృశం
వ్రజ స్త్రియ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా
వ్రజ శ్రియ కృష్ణ విసక్త మానసా
వ్రజ స్త్రియ కృష్ణ విసక్త మానసా
వ్రజ శ్రియ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా.
వ్రజ స్త్రియ మాతాజీ అది
వ్రజ శ్రియ
మానస. లాస్ట్ వర్డ్ ఏంటి మాకు?
మానసః మానసా మానసా their minds. Striya, ladies of Vraja. Vraja Striya, ladies of Vraja. Let's do this then. Let's practice this one. Andram practice చేద్దాము and then we can repeat. ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ
అది వినబడతలేదు మాతాజీ నాకైతే.
సౌండ్ కొంచెం పెట్టండి మాతాజీ. ప్రభుజీది
నాదైతే వాల్యూమ్ హైలో ఉంది.
विसृज्य लज्जां रुरुधुस्म सुस्वरं
గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి. Okay. Let's practice this. Shri Shuka Vacha. Evam bhruvana virahaturavrusham.
ఏవం బ్రువాణా విహరాతురాభృశం
Evam bruvana virahaturavrusham.
ఏవం
Vraja striya krishna vishakta manasa. Vraja striya krishna vishakta manasa. Vishrujya lajjam rurudoosma suswaram.
విసృజ్య లజ్జాం రురుధుస్మ సుస్వరం
Vishrujya lajjam. Let's break it apart. Vishrujya lajjam.
విసృజ్య లజ్జాం
Rurudoosma suswaram.
రురుధుస్మ సుస్వరం
Vishrujya lajjam. Rurudoosma suswaram. Now all together. Vishrujya lajjam. Rurudoosma suswaram. Govinda damodara madhaveti. Govinda damodara madhaveti. Evam bruvana virahaturavrusham.
Evam
Raja striya krishna vishakta manasa. Vishrujya lajjam rurudoosma suswaram. Govinda damodara madhaveti. Once again. Evam bruvana virahaturavrusham.
Evam bruvana virahaturavrusham
Vraja striya krishna vishakta manasa.
Vraja Shriya Krishna Vishakta Manasa
విసృజ్య లజ్జాం మృదోస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి. Let's do 2 lines at one time. Evam bruvana virahaturabhrisham vrajastriya krishna vishakta manasa. Visrujya lajjam mృదోస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి. ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురాభృశం వ్రజస్త్రియ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా. విసృజ్య లజ్జాం మృదోస్మ సుస్వరం గోవిందమా దామోదర మాధవేతి. ఇప్పుడు let's all do together all the 4 lines. No repetition, just we'll do together.
Okay.
Evam bruvana vrajasriya krishna ఇప్పుడు అందరం ఇండివిజువల్లీ చేద్దాం. ఇప్పుడు నెక్స్ట్ ఎవరు చేస్తారు? నాణ్య మాతాజీ మీరు మళ్ళీ మూడు ఒకసారి చేస్తారా?
ఓకే, మళ్ళీ అవి కూడా చేయాలా?
చేయండి.
ఈ శ్లోకం మర్చిపోతా.
అలా అసలు మనం గుర్తు పెట్టుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, ఎందుకంటే మనం బట్టి కొట్టట్లేదు, మనం చూస్
ట్యూన్ మర్చిపోతా.
ట్యూన్ ఓకే చేయండి.
ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురాభృశం వ్రజ స్త్రియా కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా విసృజ్య లజ్జాం మృదోస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
మాతాజీ విసృజ్య లజ్జాం అనొస్తుంది.
లజ్జాం ఓకే.
విసృజ్య లజ్జాం మృదోస్మ సుస్వరం
విసృజ్య లజ్జాం మృదోస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి. ఓకేనా ప్రభుజీ?
ఎస్ మాతాజీ, ఆ విసృజ్య లజ్జాం అనేది కొంచెం ఫాస్ట్ ఉండాలి మాతాజీ. అంటే హై పిచ్ అది వెళ్ళాలి, పైకి వెళ్ళాలి. విసృజ్య లజ్జాం
ఒకసారి చెప్పరా ఇది ఫస్ట్ నుండి? ఏవం అక్కడ నుండి.
యా, దీప మాతాజీ ఇస్ డూయింగ్ మోర్ బెటర్ దెన్ మీ మాతాజీ.
Come on, Prabhuji.
I will do if it is needed. She is doing more better than me.
మాతాజీ నేను ట్రై చేస్తాను.
Yes.
ప్లీజ్
చేయండి ప్రభుజీ.
ఫస్ట్ థర్డ్ చేస్తాను మాతాజీ.
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ. ఓకే.
హరే కృష్ణ. ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురభృశం వ్రజశ్రిత కృష్ణ విషక్త మానస విసృజ్య లజ్జాం మృదోస్మ సుస్వరాం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
ట్యూన్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ కరెక్ట్ ఉంది ప్రభుజీ. ఓన్లీ ఏంటంటే మీరు చూసుకోవాలి, ఎక్కడైతే ఆకి మాత్రం ఉందో అక్కడ ఆ ఇవ్వాలి, ఎక్కడ లేదో అక్కడ ఇవ్వకూడదు. ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురా భృశం అలా అక్కడ వస్తుంది. సో దట్ షుడ్ నాట్ బి కట్ షార్ట్. విరహాతుర భృశం కాదు, విరహాతురా భృశం అలా. మళ్ళీ చేయండి.
ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురభృశం
తురాభృశం తురా
విరహాతురభృశం తురా. ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురాభృశం వ్రజశ్రిత కృష్ణ
ప్రియ
విశక్త మానస
వ్రజస్త్రియ స్త్రియ
వ్రజస్త్రియ వ్రజస్త్రియ కృష్ణ విశక్త మానస
గుడ్.
విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరాం
నెక్స్ట్
గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
ఫస్ట్ టైం ట్యూన్ కరెక్ట్ గా పాడారు. ఈసారి ఇది సేమ్ లాగా ఫస్ట్ టూ లాగా పాడారు.
ఓకే స్వరం విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరం.
కరెక్ట్.
ఒకసారి రిపీట్ చేస్తాం అతను. ఏవం బ్రువానా సారీ ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురభృశం విరహాతురాభృశం వ్రజస్త్రియ కృష్ణ విసక్త మానసా విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరాం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
గుడ్ ప్రభుజీ, వెరీ వెల్ పిక్డ్ అప్. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే వీఆర్ నాట్ ఇన్ అ హరీ, సో యూ కెన్ ఆల్సో సింగ్ వెరీ స్లోలీ and each word very clearly. You can do that. Do you want to try once again? There is no hurry, you don't have to speed it up.
Okay, mother.
Sing slowly and you can take your time on each word and you can sing it in that tune. Try once again.
Okay. Evam bruvana virahaturabhrusam vrajasrita krishna visakta manasa visrijya lajjamrudushma suswaram గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
Good, Prabhuji. The tune is right. With practice, we can emphasis on each word. Okay, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Next, ఎవరు?
శృత్వగుణ నేను పాడలేదు మాధవి.
సో మీరు ట్యూన్ పికప్ చేసుకున్నారు. యూజువల్లీ ముందు మీకు ట్యూన్ లో ప్రాబ్లం ఉండేది, వర్డ్స్ ఉండేది. ఇప్పుడు ట్యూన్ కరెక్ట్ ఉంది. సో ఆల్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు డూ ఇస్ ఫిట్ ఇన్ ద వర్డ్స్ దేర్. యు ఆర్ డూయింగ్ వెల్. డోంట్ వరీ.
మాతాజీ థర్డ్ వన్ ఒకసారి చేస్తాను మాతాజీ.
అమిత మాతాజీ.
yes మాతాజీ థర్డ్ వన్.
ఓకే.
yes మాతాజీ.
చేయండి మాతాజీ.
yes మాతాజీ. శ్రీ శుక ఉవాచ ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురాభృశం వ్రజస్త్రియ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి. రైటేనా మాతాజీ?
గుడ్ మాతాజీ, కరెక్ట్. మళ్ళీ చేయండి.
ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురాభృశం వ్రజస్త్రియ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
ట్యూన్ ఆఫ్ ద థర్డ్ లైన్ మాతాజీ అదే చూసుకో. విసృజ్య లజ్జాం, అది పైకి వెళ్తుంది. విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరం. చెప్పండి.
విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరం
గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి. అంటే ఏమవుతుంది? థర్డ్ లైన్ ఇస్ డిఫరెంట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద ఫస్ట్ లైన్, సో వి గెట్ కన్ఫ్యూజ్డ్ అక్కడ.
ఓకే ఓకే మాతాజీ.
మళ్ళీ ట్రై చేయండి. ఏవం బ్రువానా నుంచి.
ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురాభృశం వ్రజస్త్రియ కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా విసృజ్య. మాతాజీ
ఇక్కడ వరకు కరెక్ట్ ఉంది.
ఓకే మాతాజీ.
నెక్స్ట్.
విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరం గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
ఆల్మోస్ట్ దేర్.
ఓకే మాతాజీ.
ఇంకోసారి చెప్పండి. ఏవం బ్రువానా, నాతో పాటే చేయండి. ఏవం బ్రువానా విరహాతురాభృశం వ్రజస్త్రియ
కృష్ణ విషక్త మానసా విసృజ్య లజ్జామృదుస్మ సుస్వరం
గోవింద దామోదర మాధవేతి.
మాతాజీ ఇక్కడ మనము దామోదర దగ్గర ఓన్లీ ఏ దగ్గర పైన లైన్ ఉంది కదా మాతాజీ, అదొక్కటి ఆ పలకాలి కదా మాతాజీ. బట్ మనం దామో అక్కడ ఓ అంటున్నాం కదా మాతాజీ ఎక్కువసేపు.
దామోదర మాధవేతి అది ట్యూన్ లో అలా వస్తుంది. బట్ ఓలో మనం ఎప్పుడైనా పైన లైన్ చూసామా?
పైన ఓ ఉండదు మాతాజీ. ఓ ఉన్న లేకపోయినా మనం ట్యూన్ ను బట్టి పాడాలి, లాంగే పాడాలి అది.
ఓకే ఓకే.
ఐ థింక్ యా
మనం తెలుగులో రాస్తాము దామోదర, మోకి దీర్ఘం పెడతాం కదా అట్లా.
మొత్తం దీర్ఘం.
కానీ అలా పైన ఉండదు మాతాజీ. ఓకే, ఐ డిడ్ంట్ సీ.
I have not seen. Yeah, I have seen on A. I have seen on I.
లాంగ్ వస్తుంది.
seen on
కాకపోతే
E
ట్యూన్ లో
and
ఎలా
O.
ఉంటే మనం అలా పాడాలి.
ఓకే ఓకే.
Govinda
Thank you.
Damodara Madhavi. Akinchan Prabhu, do you want to try?
Yeah, I will try, but yeah, Mataji.
No problem,
I don't
Prabhuji. Nobody is judging.
I don't know how. Yeah. Sri Sukha Vacha. Yeah. Evam Bruvanam Virahatura Vrisham Vrajastriya Krishna Vishatta Manasa Vishvischalajam Rudosma Suswaram Govinda Damodara Madhaveti.
Very good, Prabhuji. You have done so well. You were only scared unnecessarily. You did well. Do you want to do it again?
Yeah, Mataji, I will try again. Sri Sukha Vacha. Evam Bruvana Virahatura Brisham Vrajashriya Krishna Vishakta Manasa Vrishichalajam Rudosma Suswaram Govinda Damodara Madhaveti.
Very good, Prabhuji. Tune is right. Only here in Visrija,
Okay.
that has to be clear, and Rurudu, not Rurudo. So only that thing has to be corrected, but the tune is right. Do you want to try that line again?
Yeah, Mataji. Only that line?
Only that line and
Okay.
Govinda Damodara. You can.
Okay, okay.
Last
3 and 4. Okay. Vrishichalajam Rudosma Suswaram Govinda Damodara Madhaveti.
Visrijjalajam Rurudu Suswaram. Can repeat.
Vrishichalajam Rudosma
Suswaram. Do करेंगे उसको.
Okay. Vrishichalajam Rudosma Suswaram. Rurudu. Rurudusmaswaram. Okay, Mataji. Vishichalajam Rurudusmaswaram. Vishichalajam Rurudusmaswaram.
Good. Govinda
Damodara Madhaveti.
Only because these words are like tongue twisters. So it will take time. We don't have to get disheartened. We can just keep trying. It will come.
Okay.
When did we think that we can sing this kind of shlokas also before? So we are doing well, I think.
Actually, Balagovind Prabhuji tune ilage untadi Mataji. Like most of the Balagovind Prabhuji unnaru kada. Prabhuji di tune ila untadi. Karpanya doshopahata swabhava Vrichami tvam dharma sammoda cheta Yashreyasha nishitam rohitan me Shishaste hamsadi mam tvam prapannam. Ide kada? Itle undi.
Yes, ma'am.
I've not heard his.
Yeah.
But wonderful. Akinjan Prabhu, आपने किया क्या? Do you want to do the first two?
I will try this also, Mataji.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not recalling. Yeah. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundar. Oh, I'm going to that tune. Okay.
Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundar. Aisa.
Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundar shrinvatam te nirvishya karna vivarai hartongatapam rupam drisham drishimatam akilarthalabam Tvayachyuta vishatai chitta apratampam me.
Tvayachyuta. Idhar na dheere se you just break the words. then it will become easy.
Sutta,
Tvai
yeah.
achyuta, उधर वो वर्ड को देखिए, त्वयि अच्युता विशति चित्तम अपत्रपम में, ऐसे उसको ब्रेक करिए, नो प्रॉब्लम. टेक योर टाइम ऑन द लाइन ऑल्सो, इट्स ओके, यू डोंट हैव टू हरी ऑन इट. सो त्वयि अच्युता विशति चित्तम अपत्रपम में, ट्राई करिए.
त्वयि अच्युता विशति त्वयि अच्युता
తర్వాత
विशति
ఆపండి
चित्तम.
ప్రభుజీ కొంచెం.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
త్వయ్యచ్యుతా విశతి చిత్ తమపత్రపం మే, అట్లా చదివితే
त्वयि अच्युता विशति चित् अपत्र
తమపత్రపం మే,
तमपत्रपम. Yeah. त्वयि अच्युता विशति चित् तमपत्रपम में. I have to
Yeah,
practice.
no problem प्रभुजी, no problem.
Yeah.
अगला वाला ट्राई करेंगे.
Yeah. खात्वा मुकुन्दा महति कुलशूलरूपा विद्या वयोद्रविनद्ताम् अभिरात्मतुल्यम् धीरपतिं कुलवती नवृतं कन्या काले नरसिंहनरलोकमनोभिरामम्.
Good प्रभुजी, you picked up well प्रभुजी. Only थोड़ा इधर उधर 1-2 words only, and that can be worked upon because most of the shloka is already done. So only
Okay,
on
ma'am.
those words,
Yeah.
it's okay. By hearing, we'll get it. No
Yeah,
problem.
last line also. Yeah. Yeah.
Who else wants to try? I think we are done. We're all.
లోవేష్ ప్రభుజీ హే మాతాజీ.
Lavish Prabhu, do you want to try?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am little busy. Okay, sorry.
You can't?
क्या ऑफिस में है?
Yes, please. Hare.
Okay,
Okay.
we're also at 9:04, so we can actually wind up. Thank you all for joining the call, for reading and chanting. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्रीला प्रभुपाद बुक रीडिंग की जय. श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. हरे कृष्णा.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you మాతాజీ. హరే కృష్ణ.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.